The key to a lasting relationship is committing and manifesting. Let me explain what I mean. How's it going, my friends? I'm excited to talk to you about this topic today. I just watched a video of Christopher Bumstead. If you don't know who he is, are you living in a cave? And he talks about marriage, and I'm so inspired to see people who are doing really well in the online space or are successful financially, men and men who have happy marriages, having children. It's just nice to see that because there's so much fake bullshit out there also. And in my personal life, it was very difficult for me to find men who I could look up to in terms of those who are in happy relationships, because a lot of people have been following the old marriage of model, the old, I should say, marriage of model, the old model of marriage. Shows you how fast my brain is going. And it's not working for today's times because it was built for a different time and it was built for different people. That's why cheating is at an all-time high. That's why the divorce rate's about 50% or more. And it makes sense. So after having gone through my fair share of amazing experiences in relationships, and by amazing, I mean some of them were amazing, and by amazing, I also mean some of them were terrible and excruciatingly painful, I have learned a lot. And I'm in the happiest relationship I've ever been in my life. And I'll tell you why. And I'm very confident about the relationships I'm going to continue to have, the primary romantic relationship and all the other relationships I'll have, including family relationships, friend relationships, and everything else. I've learned so much the last 10 years, and I think these are lessons that people don't learn in a lifetime. And so I want to bestow that upon you and just tell you what's worked for me. I'm going to give you exact affirmations that I've used to literally get to the version of the person that I want. I've done this time and time again, so I'm gonna give you my secret for that. Also, just the whole idea of, I think, what's going wrong right now. So if you're someone who has been wanting to get married, let's say you're single, you want to be in a relationship, you want to get married, or let's say you are married and you hate your spouse, or sometimes you're just tired of them, you've thought about divorce, whatever the case is, or you're in a relationship, sometimes thinking about breaking up, you are secretly cheating right now or emotionally cheating, and you're kind of just okay with getting by because maybe you have kids, or maybe you're afraid of being lonely, which is legit, nothing wrong with that. So there's all these different scenarios, right? I don't care what your situation is, you can apply this. So I think one of the biggest tragedies is to be in a committed lifelong relationship, for those of you who want to be in one, and to hate the person you're with, or to not like the person you're with. Like, that's insane. Most guys I know, okay, even in my relative circle, even my friend circle, do not like the people that they're with, right? They may have somewhat of a friendship, like they may be able to say things like, yes, like, so, like she's done, or, you know, if it's a straight relationship, even if it's gay or bi relationships, he or she has done this for me, or sometimes they're nice, or yeah, I do have a friend in them, right? But it's not what I believe real romantic partnership and emotional bonding partnership should be. And yes, do I believe that I can be passionate and the honeymoon phase can last a lifetime? I do believe that now. And I also believe that that's not the primary purpose all the time. I believe that there's three things that have to be there. There has to be love. Love has to be there. Okay. The second thing is respect. You have to respect the person you're with, and they have to respect you. And the third thing is friendship, a best friendship. They have to be your best friend, one of your best friends, if not the best friend. If those three things are not there in this modern era that we are kind of going into, we're going to have a very hard time actually having a happy, okay? Because we say successful relationship. What does success mean? That it looks good on the fucking outside to everybody else, but we're miserable on the inside? No, not me. I'm not going to tolerate that bullshittery, all right? If you want a happy relationship with someone, those three things are the ingredients. And I've learned that the hard way. Because when I followed other models, especially religious models and everything else, there may be some well-intended people there. And listen, you know, so many people have given up on religion. So many people have given up on what their families have taught them. So many people have given up on, you know, what the government has told them, like so many things, because it just hasn't worked. They've tried it and it hasn't worked for them, right? And so they were like, something's not right here. And I get that. So I think in this recession of trust with all of those types of things, we have to use our common sense and we have to really think about what is actually going wrong and how can we have the best, happiest relationship. So aside from those three things, I think, like I said, one of the tragedies is being with someone or choosing to be with someone who you don't want to be with. My problem that I see with certain guys now, who I actually respect and like a lot, is that because they've had kids, or because their parents want them to stay, or because their religion says, or because it would be much harder to leave than stay, instead of deciding like, hey, this is my wife, this is my life partner forever, or my husband, instead of deciding to stay and make that the best relationship in the world, bring the love back, bring the respect back, bring the best friendship back, or maybe not back, maybe you never had it. Instead of making that the best relationship ever and like really locking in on that, making it amazing, they've just given up. Like, why would you do that to yourself, right? Just had someone come over to pick up some food, so let's continue. So what I was basically saying is that it's a tragedy to just decide to give up, okay? Why would you live a life like that? It doesn't make any sense. If, like I said, God willingly, you end up living a very long life, okay? Several more decades, okay? Let's say 50 more years. Let's say 80 more years. Let's say 100 more years, right? Technology, you never know. Anything's possible, okay? Regardless, let's just say it's several more decades of your life, okay? Why? Why in the hell would you choose to stay in a relationship or marriage and then be with that person and continue to hate them or not want to be with them? Even if you don't hate them, why would you just want that to be a mediocre part of your life? So you're constantly looking outside that relationship for the emotional connection and the physical connection you may be wanting. Why? Why would you do that? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I know why people do it. I know why you do it, right? And I know why I've been tempted to do it in the past when things haven't been working out. But, like, why would you? And the thing is, like, with me, I would end a relationship as I have in the past if that was the case. But now I've learned something even better, which is there's no point in ending that relationship unless it's just really off, unless you really feel like you got into it very quickly, not knowing certain things, or just certain things that would take too much to manifest, too much to change, or would take too long. It's not worth the energy and effort. You've kind of just given up. Then it's like, get out of that relationship. End it peacefully. Free that person up. Free yourself up. Both of you guys go live great lives, right? And that's what I've done. And I'm very, very proud of myself for doing that because it was very, very hard in the beginning to do it. But I'm so much happier now. And my exes are happier now too, right? And what I've learned more recently is there's no reason to ever even end a relationship because, and I think this is where I think religion gets it right. I think it's the idea of committing to someone, just deciding and committing like, hey, this is my life partner. And the second part that religion doesn't teach as well, I think that they try to, but I feel like this part's like lost because no one really fucking talks about this, is then what do you do to make it consistently, constantly the best relationship ever? That does fuel you, that does make you feel good, that makes you feel like it's your emotional home, right? Like, why is no one working on that? So if I'm in a relationship right now, but the thing is, like, whether it's I want this relationship to be lifelong, right, or not, like, that's the other thing. Like, if you're just dating someone casually, I guess that's fine, but I'm talking really about finding like the one, finding the emotional bonding partner you're gonna have for life. If you've decided that, there's no reason to ever end that, right? If you found someone that you feel like you guys align enough on most things, you can just continuously improve that, okay? Continuously improve yourself, them, and the relationship. Instead of thinking about, well, like, this isn't working, so I'm going to end it, okay? Like I said, there's rare circumstances for that too, but I've learned that that's not even necessary. And secondly, especially if you want to be with the person, secondly, I think that the more important thing is that the giving up thing, right? Like, you're gonna stay with someone because you feel like it would just be harder to leave them, but then even though you're staying with them, a part of you has died inside, like it's given up inside, and so you don't want to put in the effort because there's been so much damage that's been done. And I'm like begging you not to do that, man, because it's just a waste of your fucking life. You're not here to live a terrible life romantically. You're not here to live a terrible life with your partner or spouse. You're not. That's not one of your like purposes, right? So many people settle because they're like, oh, well, you know, it's okay, we'll be rewarded after we die, or we'll be rewarded in paradise and all that stuff. Are you kidding me? Like, that's a whole different topic. But if you did have a long life here, why would you want to spend the next several decades of your life miserable? And why would you constantly want to be looking outside your relationship for that fulfillment? Why not just lean in? Why not be uncomfortable right now for the next few years? Lean in, do the work on yourself that's required to make that the best relationship that you could possibly have, right? Instead of doing what's the short-term easier thing, it's just to go outside the relationship and try to find some emotional or sexual fulfillment, but then like half-assing it and kind of just keeping the lights on in that relationship, right? It's really crazy. And another thing that bothers me about, I think, current day marriage is that there's so many men who, like, a lot of times, if you're single especially, you look up to people who are married and you think like, oh, well, that's the goal. But I realize that's not, because almost every single man I know, I'd say 80 to 90%. There's very few who I feel like are, I'd say maybe like 20% overall across the board. I feel like I could say are like, yeah, like that's what I want to be like. They seem very happy in their relationship or marriage. The other 80%, no, I don't want to be like them, right? And so that's my other issue is that why is the goal to be married? The goal should be to have a happy relationship, because that's like saying the goal is to have a job that pays the bills. But if the job that pays the bills is making you miserable, you're disrespected 8 hours a day, you feel like shit, your health is declining, your cortisol's through the roof, you've gone high blood pressure now, you're literally getting physically more and more sick, you're fighting with your spouse when you come back home because you hate the job, like, it's going to cause financial stress as well, right? When you're that stressed about things in general, it's just going to lead to a snowball negative effect. So then, like, what's the point of having that job then? Instead, why not strive for having a life where your bills are comfortably paid and you're able to enjoy yourself and you're able to do things that help you grow as a person and it's sustainable? Whether it's a job, whether it's a business or something else. I'm using that as an analogy for marriage, right? Because so many of us just put marriage on a pedestal. We're just like, oh, the institution of marriage. And I do like think it's worth romanticizing to a certain extent. Not the institution, but I think just like, I'm a huge romantic. I love love. I love being in love. I'm the happiest when I'm in love, when I'm in a relationship. And so I think, like, for me, there's a part of me that wants to romanticize the idea of two people being together, right? But at the same time, it's like, you know, this whole idea of like us putting people who are married at the pinnacle of success, like that's the goal, we should be like them, whereas most of them aren't happy. So then, no, we shouldn't be like them. Why would you want to be like them, right? Just because someone is married on the outside, right, they have a wife and kids, or they have a husband and kids, whatever, doesn't mean that they're happy, right? And everything you want in life is because of the way you think it's going to make you feel. So yes, you don't have to be happy all the time. There may be challenges. There may be things that you go through, ups and downs. That's fine. That's a part of life. Like 80-20 even. I'm okay with that, right? 20% of the negative, 80% good. But if it's like less than that, if it's more negative than positive, that's not a marriage that I want to be a part of. Most marriages these days are like that. And so what's happening now is like all the guys who are married kind of just play along with it. They'll be like, oh yeah, I gotta go back home to the gold ball and chain. Gotta go back home to the wife, or the wife did this, the wife did that. And I get it. I feel like there's like a sense of brotherhood in that too, just kind of like venting, bitching, and complaining about how horrible your marriage is. And you can lean on your brothers for support with that. But at the same time, it's like, why even accept that? Why even tolerate such a bad marriage or bad relationship? Like, why? And why are we also then, you know, allowing the next set of guys or the next generations or people who are single, like making them think that the pinnacle of success is being married when it's not. The pinnacle of success, I think, is being in a happy relationship, right? Like, take the whole marriage thing out of it, right? Just take the whole legality or the religious ceremony out of it, right? It's having a bonding with someone, a relationship with someone who you're emotionally growing with, who you're physically growing with, who you get to experience life with, who you get to have fun with, who you get to go through the ups and downs of life with, right? And it requires constant work. Just like we realize at some point in life, like your health requires constant work, right? Like I'm finally made going to the gym Monday through Friday non-negotiable, because this year, my fitness, my transformation is like my biggest goal this year, and I'm going to make it happen. You're going to see, right? After years of kind of being up and down. And that's how most of us treat our relationships and marriage. We're just like, it's okay. It's like on autopilot. It's running, whatever. We have our differences. again, it's like, why would you settle for that? So it's like you'll settle for that here, but then again, like I said, you'll look outside of your relationship for that other fulfillment, but then you're doing it hiding, you're doing it as a cheater, you're doing it as all these things. Like, what are you getting from that? Like, that makes your life more miserable in the long run. And you know that it does because you've experienced it by now. So why would you continue going down a path that you know is just going to get worse and worse and worse? Why would you do that? Why? Like, these are big deals. These are big issues here. This isn't just like, oh, I had a bag of Doritos and I feel guilty about it. It's like, no, we're talking about your relationship, right? This is the kind of guilt that can eat away at you. And so that reminds me of a whole other topic of, if you want an open relationship or an open marriage and you two can figure that out, more power to you, right? Nothing wrong with that either. And I feel like that's something that, isn't talked about because it's such a taboo topic. I don't give a fuck. I talk about all the taboo topics on this channel. That's just me being authentic to help you and just be real with you because no one else is being fucking real, and I will. But that's the other thing, right? In most situations, in most cases, people may not be able to do that or even like bring that up to their partner because it's so offensive. But I say, ask those questions, have those conversations, even if you bring them up jokingly. Like, go through the uncomfortable questions, right? Some people have one-sided open relationships, right? Where it's like, hey, I get to do X, Y, Z if I want to sometimes, but I don't want you to. I prefer you not to. Another person may not want to, right? And again, the public and, some people are like, oh, that's so unfair. That's whatever. Who gives a fuck? It's your relationship, right? Like, it doesn't matter what people think. You design your life the way you want to. You manifest the life that you want to. That's a whole different topic, which we can discuss in a different video. But it all comes down to you taking responsibility for your relationship and prioritizing what the most important thing is. That you have to, not you have to, I feel like you have to, but why would you not want to prioritize being happy in your relationship, right? Whether you're currently in one or married or not, why would you not make that a priority, right? So just, if you've decided to stay with someone, go all in and work on making that the best thing ever. And if you're not, become the version of you who has the highest self-concept, is loving yourself, respecting yourself, being the best friend to yourself, and then you'll find that in someone else. You'll literally manifest that in the other person, right? So now I'm going to teach you exactly what I've done to manifest the best of the best in relationships. And I've gone through the ringer when it comes to relationships. Like I said, amazing memories with each person I've been with, and also some memories that weren't so great. And that's every relationship. There is no relationship or marriage out there that's 100% perfect. And so whether you chose to complete it, end it, graduate from it, whatever, or stay in it, those could all be neutral things. But I'm going to tell you from my experience what's working for me now in terms of manifesting, in terms of creating through our thoughts and actions. Okay. And this is a very spiritual practice, right? So everyone is you pushed out. Okay. This is a concept taught by lots of spiritual teachers. The one who made it more popular in the last few decades, I think it was the 1950s, was Neville Goddard, right? Who taught primarily the law of assumption. So it's basically that we are the mini gods of our reality. Like, our consciousness is projected out, right? And so that every human on the planet, there's infinite versions of them and us, right? So what we assume about certain people, how we perceive them to be, how we think about them, is how they will show up in our reality. That's the version of them, out of the infinite versions that exist, that will show up in our reality. So for example, if I'm with a partner and this partner is treating me very, very well, it's because there's something in me, there's some assumption or thought or belief I have in me about myself, about how I deserve to be treated by them, and then about them, who they are as a person, that makes them show up that way, right? Also, on the flip side, if I have a partner that treats me badly or starts to treat me badly, right, it's because there's certain thoughts and assumptions I have about myself, right? How I deserve to be treated or should be treated or am always treated by someone. And then I also have thoughts and assumptions about them, how people change, how people, it starts off great, then everyone, becomes sour or negative, and then they'll reflect that back to me as well. So this concept is pretty life-changing, and even if it doesn't quite make sense to you, you don't want to believe it in the beginning, it's totally fine. I think I had a problem with this learning early on, and I think that, I personally believe that this should be applied to, like a really important person in your life. If it's just like someone on the fucking street or a cash register person, whatever, like the whole idea of like everyone is you pushed out doesn't mean that you're controlling people, like every single person on the planet. That's stupid, right? And that's way too much to think about, and that's not why you're here to focus on all that, right? But I think it's very useful. It's like use every tool to your advantage. I always tell my coaching clients this. It's like if I teach you a tool, use it to help you improve your life. Don't use it to confuse yourself and then create chaos in your mind. That's not the point of any tool, right? So take the good, leave the bad, right? Like whatever doesn't make sense to you. So apply this concept to your close people. And so apply this to someone who you've had a relationship with in the past or you're currently in a relationship with. If it's a great relationship, apply it. But for many of you, it's like a negative experience you've had in the past, or you're not quite happy with who you are with right now, right? And so really apply this. Like at the end of the day, how that person was treating you or how that relationship has become it comes down to who you are being and what you are thinking, because they are you pushed out. They are your thoughts pushed out. Okay? And so another way of looking at this is there's infinite versions of them that exist right now in the quantum field, right? In the field, the source field, whatever you want to call it, right? And so you can select a certain version of them by how you think of them consistently, dominantly, right? That like whatever you consistently think becomes a belief, right? Those get embedded and printed in your subconscious. Your subconscious is like a 3D printer. It then spits out the reality that's projected in front of you. That's how this works, right? So the way that I've done this in relationships, and I've seen this, I've tested this on many people, so it's kind of fun. But even in my current relationship, when I've seen that things are going like a little south, or like, wait, like why did this person react this way? Or if someone was a little snappy, or if I felt like, you know what, this person really respects me, but for some reason they're being a little disrespectful right now, or they're not being as loving, or I can see some negative patterns starting. I'm like, Before, like the old me and most of society will feel like something's like that person is just changing and I'm the victim. But I don't play that game anymore. We're not victims up in here. All right. We're the kings of our fucking reality. So we get to decide, right? Put your fucking crown on and decide what reality you want and then make it happen. Select versions of people you want and have them to show up in your reality. So when I've done this, I would just think of them as how I wanted to think of them. And I would also elevate myself in my own mind, like my self-concept. Excuse me. I just had some food. So basically what I would do is I would basically say, hey, like my goal in life is to be at an 8 to 10 in terms of like happiness level and like peace, joy, like feeling good about my life for the most part, as much as I can. So I don't want to let anyone bring that down below that. Now, sometimes it will come down, like I said, because that's just the contrast of life. But for the most part, I stay up there. So that's been one really healthy, amazing thing, is because it's allowed me to not completely attach myself and make someone like the end all be all and the source of my happiness. That's one of the mistakes we make, which is why so many spiritual teachers and really good like religious teachers, even a lot of Islamic teachers have taught this, a lot of people, Christian teachers, like don't make people, your partner, like the center of your universe. They're not God. They're not your God. Like the problem is like you're not relying on God, you're relying on them. And I agree to that to a certain extent. I do agree with that, right? And so you can replace like yourself with God, like meaning like really focusing on yourself. I believe that we're an extension of source God. So it's like when you're focusing on yourself, you're focusing on God, right? So it's just like you and God. If that sounds better for you, right? But it's like keeping myself at an 8 to 10 and then not letting anyone else bring me down, even if it's my partner, not letting that person bring me down, right? Temporarily, will it happen? Yes. But you can easily go back up to 8 to 10. The problem is like when it goes down and you continue to lower yourself and your happiness and your joy, and you make that a pattern, then that person you're constantly using that, your partner, as a reason to feel bad, to stay in that low feeling state, right? And that's all you. Like that's your fault at the end of the day, right? It's not them, it's you, okay? So that's number one. Number two, there's certain affirmations that I use, which are just thoughts that you think in your mind. So one of them that's worked really, really well for me is, this person is exactly who I want them to be, right? So let's say that I'm with Mary. I just be like, Mary is exactly who I want her to be. Mary is exactly who I want her to be. let's say I'm with Dan. Dan is exactly who I want him to be. Dan is exactly who I want him to be. When you say that, different things will come up for all of you because we're all different, obviously. So an image may pop up, an image may not pop up, but like in your mind, you know what that means. So that's one of my affirmations I just gave to you for free. So feel free to use that. And you want to think it as much like, I feel like if you can embody that, if you can feel it, great. If you can't, totally fine. Sometimes we're not going to feel anything or embody, just thinking it's enough, right? Like, Dan is exactly who I want him to be. Dan is exactly who I want him to be. Dan is exactly who I want him to be. You say it in your mind, obviously. Like, I've done this like while I'm with people, right? And I've literally like instantly seen them change, right? So it's pretty powerful. And it comes from, of course, the whole reality of everyone is you pushed out. Like, you're constantly selecting people based on your dominant thoughts about them, right? And so I think that's super powerful. You can also do it very specifically. Like, let's say that your partner, like, there's just something about them that's been really bothering you. I want you to start testing this by just picking one thought. Like, you can do something like general, like I just said, like, they are the version of you want them to be, like they're exactly who you want them to be. That's kind of like an umbrella affirmation that I think is the best one. It covers everything. But let's say there's something specific that's really chipping away at you. Like, let's say that they've been disrespectful, they're not being loving, or there's just something about them, like they're constantly mad at you, they're yelling at you, they're fighting with you. Let's say that they're not sexual, they're depriving you of sex, or they don't seem interested anymore. Like, whatever it is, there's like hosts of problems you can go through, right? Just pick that one thing. Okay? So let's say it's respect. So you could be like, Dan respects me more than anyone. Mary respects me more than anyone, right? And you would just continue to think that a few times. There's like, the more you think it, the whole key is like to think it as much as you can. So like, whenever you have negative thoughts about them, I would think it. And then throughout the day, whenever I remember, I would think it as well. Okay? Now you could do like the 10-minute method that Sammy Ingram teaches for robotic affirmations. You could just do robotic affirmations, which means you robotically just affirm something in your mind without worrying about how it feels. And that will change things. Like, I agree with that as well. And I've used it to a certain extent, but in this video, I'm not even teaching that. I'm just teaching you how to change your thoughts about someone, even if you think it like once or twice or a few times, and kind of like let it go, like let the resistance go on the topic, and just, try as much as you can to believe like, yeah, it'll happen because I'm continuing to think this about them. Then they will change. You will see the difference. I promise you, you will see the difference. You will. When you do, comment here and let me know about it, right? So that's another way. Another thing, like other ways you can do it is, I'm trying to use real life examples. So money is a big thing for a lot of people because, people have been able to manifest their partner making more money, being able to provide for them, or not having to rely on them as much for money. So one of your affirmations could be, Dan always pays for me, or Dan got a new job. Dan makes so much money, or Mary's so generous. Mary never lets me pay for anything, right? If that's like a thing. You could apply it to, if, this is controversial, like, I believe my partner is the sexiest person in the world, right? But if there's like certain things you want your partner to improve in terms of physical appearance, just because you know that they would be more attractive then, or you would be more attracted to them, or for whatever reason, for status reasons, when you go out, you want to feel like you're with the sexiest person, the sexiest guy or girl, then you can also affirm things like, they look exactly how I want them to look. Mary looks exactly how I want her to look. Dan looks exactly, or you can use a celebrity, right? Like, Mary looks like Beyonce. I'm obsessed with Beyonce. Ooh, hottest woman in the world, in my opinion. Not just because of her body and her beauty, but just because of her work ethic and creativity. And let's not get started. I've been a Beyonce fan ever since I was in my college dorms and Baby Boy, the video came out. If you saw it, you know. If you know, you know. Right? It's all the young boys. So, but yeah, so, or you're like, if it's a guy, it's like, Dan looks like Hrithik Roshan. Dan looks like Brad Pitt. Dan is so sexy like Brad Pitt. Dan is whoever it is that you're into, right? So I would say like those work pretty well as well, because what's going to happen is out of nowhere, they're going to get the idea to go start working out. Out of nowhere, if the girl never wore makeup before, she's going to start doing really amazing makeup that looks her look gorgeous. Out of nowhere, this person is just going to have like some ideas that like occur to them of how they should take care of more of their appearance, or show up sexier for you, or wear lingerie for you, or whatever, right? So it's magical because it's manifestation. That's how it works. It's really magical how it works, right? And I mean, those are like, I guess, superficial things, but they are important in a relationship, right? But I think overall, like at the end of the day, what everybody's wanting is, I think the fear these days is people are going to change on you. People will cheat on you. Am I going to also get less interested in this person? I think that's been one of my things. Ever since I worked on my self-concept, I haven't really been afraid of like people leaving me. It's been more of like, I used to get, how should I word this? I could be very committed. I could be like a lifelong committed person, right? I'm very loyal, but at the same time, I could get very disinterested pretty quickly, right? And so I think that was one of my fears, was not necessarily someone leaving me, but like me being like, I don't really feel like being with this person anymore. So then you kind of end up self-sabotaging and it kind of ends, right? So if that's been one of your things as well, then again, it's a self-concept affirmation. It's like, I'm so in love with this person, right? Like I'm obsessed with this person. That's also another one. Like in general, I've used specific person affirmations I've taught on this channel. I'll do a lot more if you guys are into this topic. But also like, Dan's obsessed with me. Dan's so in love with me, right? Mary's so in love with me. Mary cannot stop thinking about me. Mary can't stop thinking about my, right? Whatever it is, right? I've done all these. That's why I'm laughing. And they work. And what's crazy is sometimes you may not see it work immediately because the 3D is always slowed down. So if there's a delay, give it a fucking minute. Be patient. But I promise you, within the next few minutes, within the next hour, within the next time you see them, within the next week, if you continue to think these thoughts in your mind, select the version of them you want them to be, right? They will become them. They will show it to you and you'll be like, fuck, how did this happen? I'm telling you, it's insane. That's why I feel like people are the easiest thing to manifest now, versions of people. I actually did this yesterday as well in a certain situation, and it was crazy because the whole situation changed within a minute. It wasn't my romantic partner, but it was a different situation, and I was like, wow, like this really works. Every time I do it, I'm like, I'm the manifestation king, manifestation motherfucker, right? And so then I just feel compelled to share it. So that's one thing. And really, I think I started off this video, or maybe the title might be commit, and manifest. It's commit to the person you want to be with, which in this day and age is hard. And then manifest the version of them you want them to become, right? Manifest the version of them who's obsessed with you, who's in love with you, who treats you like a king or queen, all that's because you can do that. So it's like, find the person you want to be with, choose the person you want to be with, who has like the basics of what you want. And the rest of it you can build throughout your entire life. Like you build a sandcastle, have like a Build-A-Bear, right? I'm going to do a video on Build-A-Bear because it just makes me laugh. But the whole idea of like creating or recreating your specific person, I use the concept of Build-A-Bear. Like you go to the Build-A-Bear workshop and you create like all the specifics. It's kind of the same concept, right? But yeah, that's one of the ways you can easily do it as well. So I would say commit to the person, then continue to manifest the version of them that you want them to be. And what's really cool about this is that if you want this person to be your lifelong husband or wife or spouse or partner, boyfriend or girlfriend, then the cool thing with that is that sometimes we're like, oh, like, you know, what if we get bored of each other after a while? Like, what if... The cool thing with this is that if you start to do these exercises and you start to manifest the version of them that you want them to be, you'll see how powerful you are, right? You'll see how powerful God has made you, or that you are, and that you have the power to manifest different versions of them. So then in every season of life, you can get met with a new person. It could be the same person, but different versions of them that you can experience. You can have multiple relationships or marriages with that same one person. How cool would that be, right? I think that'd be super fun. Because people change anyway. Like anyone who's been married for like 50, 60 years, even people who've been in relationships for like 15, 20 years will tell you, like, they've evolved so many times. Like, they're not the same person they were. Their partner's not the same person they were. Obviously, we all evolve. We're supposed to. And so I think the reason why there's so many breakups and divorces now, especially for people who've been together for 10, 20, 30 years, is because people don't evolve together. They evolve apart. So the whole goal is evolve together, grow together, experience each other together. And I think the easiest way to do that on a spiritual level is just to select a desired version of them, manifest a desired version of them that shows up in your reality for you, and enjoy them. That's pretty much it, right? The action part comes in naturally. Like you'll be you'll just be doing what you would do anyway with them in terms of action. I think communication is very important. So like over communicating, not to like a negative place, but having check-ins, having a ritual, maybe like once a week, once a month, you guys have a check-in. It's like, hey, how am I doing as a partner? Are you satisfied? What can I do that would make you feel more loved? That's actually a question that I ask my partner. It's like, hey, what can I do that would make you feel more loved? Right? Or like, what can I, like, especially like in moments of when there's frustration, I can see that they're not like feeling really, really well. That's very, very helpful, right? So I feel like that's like something you can do. Like action is a part of our experience here as humans, right? Thinking and action. Like thinking and action is what leads to creation, which is manifestation. So both are important. But I think that so many of us take action from a very negative place. Like this person's never gonna change. And so we'll like do some actions begrudgingly, like, oh, fine, I'll go to therapy. Oh, fine, like I'll have the difficult conversation with them. But the whole time you're already thinking this person's an asshole or a bitch. So then that like you don't get the response you want, and then you're like, see, like I made all this effort, I had the difficult conversation, I'm trying so hard to change, but they're still an asshole, they're still a bitch. I give up. Fuck you, right? I'm moving on. I'm ending the relationship. I'm getting a divorce. So I feel like instead of like just focusing on action, focus internally in your mind and body, focus internally on how you want to show up the best version of you that shows up in that relationship, be that version of you now, and then select the version of them that you want them to be. So it's like commit to them. If you've decided like, hey, I want to be with this person no matter what, commit to them and then manifest the versions of them that you want them to be, and give it a fucking minute, give it time, be patient. I was talking to someone else about this the other day. It's like, dude, like you have to go slower, right? In your mind, enjoy your life. Like every day, your life, you need to do things and think things in your life that make you feel amazing, make you feel happy, right? Make you feel the way I do about my life, right? You can do that without still getting everything you want this minute, right? You can still be happy now while you're still pursuing the changes. Like even if your relationship or marriage is terrible, or if you're single and very lonely and depressed, you can still do things now to make yourself as happy as you can be while you're pursuing those changes. So give it a fucking minute. Don't think like, oh, well, I've been like saying these things that he said to say. I've been thinking these thoughts. I've been affirming and nothing happened. What? It's like saying like, I have to lose 100 pounds. I went to the gym for a week and nothing happened. Like I didn't lose 100 pounds in a week. How's that gonna happen? Especially if some of you guys have really fucked up negative thoughts about yourself, about relationships, marriage, or your partner. It's gonna take some time, and that's okay. I'd much rather you see the progress and enjoy that, right? And then get everything you want forever, right? Versus never getting anything you want because you keep fucking giving up every time you don't see results fast enough. So don't fucking do that. All right, guys. Hope this was helpful. Loaded topic. Bottom line is commit, then continue to manifest the fuck out of, yourself and them. Select the desired version of you, select the desired version of them. That's it. If you do that, there will never be a reason to break up with someone, to divorce someone, to go outside of your relationship, unless it's an open relationship or open marriage, and you guys want that to be a part of your life, or you want that to be part of your life. You can manifest that too. Maybe your partner is against that. Maybe they would never want that. You can select a version of them who's totally okay with that, or who's happy with that, where they bring it up themselves. Wink, wink. Telling you from experience, right? You can literally manifest whatever it is that you want. You just have to start being disciplined with, in your mind, thinking as if they're that version now, right? And in your mind, I think it helps to combine that with your own self-concept. Thinking of you as the version who's living that life now, who's experiencing those things now, or will experience those things, okay? So commit, then manifest, right? That's it. And then and sometimes you have to recommit. Everyone knows this in long-term relationships, right? Because if there's some days where you wake up and you're like, I don't know if I want to be with this person, or you're just pissed off, whatever. It's recommitting. I should say commit, manifest over and over and over again. All right? So make sure you are doing that. As I am talking to you, my partner is calling. So I think that's a manifestation. Manifestation. I thought my phone was on Do Not Disturb, but they're on my favorites list so they can get through. Anyway, hope this helped. If it did, come join me in King's Club, where we talk much more about this. You get to hang out with me in person in Houston or around other cities in the world. We're going to have international trips soon too. We do a weekly group coaching call where I go live. We just talk about all these things, help you overcome your struggles, help you achieve and manifest things that you want that are important to you. And then you get a brotherhood, a community where you belong to, where you have like-minded men going through the same things, going after the same goals, dreams, ambitions that you have, and we get to all do it together and have fun together. All right. If you're interested in joining, go ahead and click the link in the show notes or in the first comment, and I'll see you inside. Lots of love.